You hear the name Boeing, and for decades, that meant something, right? It stood for American engineering, for safety in the skies. But lately, well, the headlines have been telling a completely different story, and it's a pretty worrying one. So today, we're going to break down exactly what went wrong with this iconic company.
Just let that sink in for a second. The company that built the Queen of the Skies now using dish soap on its doors. I mean, wow. That one detail just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures this incredible fall from grace. It's a powerful symbol of a company deep in crisis and, honestly, a long, long way from the perfection it once famous for.
And that really is the question we're tackling here. How does a company like that get to this point? This wasn't some sudden collapse. It was more like a slow, steady erosion over time. And to really get why door plugs are blowing out of planes mid-flight, we've got to turn back the clock.
All right, so let's start with what's been in the news lately, the stuff that's put Boeing under this global microscope. Think of these as the symptoms of a much, much deeper problem.
I mean, we're talking about terrifying mid-air emergencies, alarming reports coming from whistleblowers right on the factory floor. The headlines are painting this picture of a company that's just struggling with basic quality control. And with every single incident, public trust just gets chipped away, leaving all of us asking, how on earth could this happen?
So to find the real root cause, we have to travel back in time, back to a single pivotal moment decades ago. This was an event that didn't just alter Boeing's DNA, it basically kicked off a complete rewrite of the entire code. Okay, so picture this, 1997. This wasn't just a merger of two companies, it was a full-on collision of two completely different philosophies. You have Boeing, right? The proud, engineer-led company all about excellence. And then you have McDonnell Douglas, a company run by accountants, famous for being aggressive and putting finance first. There was actually a joke going around at the time that McDonnell Douglas bought Boeing with Boeing's own money. And, well, what happened next really did change everything.
See, the McDonnell Douglas culture didn't just join Boeing, it pretty much took over. And this led to a massive, fundamental shift in what the company was all about, its core values, its priorities, everything.
And this chart, man, it just lays out the whole transformation perfectly. The old Boeing, that was a company led by engineers, people who lived and breathed airplanes, who put safety and quality before anything else. But the new Boeing, after the merger, suddenly you have finance executives in the cockpit. The entire focus shifts from let's build the best planes to let's boost the stock price. They did it by cutting costs and pouring money into stock buybacks. They even moved the headquarters out of Seattle, the heart of their engineering universe, all the way to Chicago, a lot closer to Wall Street. That tells you everything you need to know.
And look, this shift from engineering to finance wasn't just something that happened on paper in a boardroom. Oh no, it had devastating, real-world consequences. It all led up to one of the absolute darkest chapters in modern aviation history.
This timeline really lets you draw a straight line from that merger back in '97, right to the tragedies that came later. See, for years, there was this intense pressure to compete with Airbus. So, Boeing decided to rush the 737 MAX to market. Instead of designing a whole new plane, they just heavily modified an old design to save money. And that single cost-saving decision, it set the stage for absolute disaster, leading to 2 fatal crashes in just 5 months.
So, what was at the heart of this? A system called MCAS. Basically, it was software designed to make the MAX, with its new, bigger engines, feel like the older 737s to pilots. But here's the crucial part. To save money and avoid costly pilot retraining, its existence was seriously downplayed. Worse, it was built with a single point of failure. It relied on just one sensor. So when that one sensor went haywire, the system just kept forcing the plane's nose down over and over. You had pilots literally fighting their own airplane with no idea what was happening or why.
346. That's not just a number. That's the number of people, the number of lives lost in those 2 crashes. 346 fathers, mothers, sons, daughters. That is the real human cost when a culture of safety gets thrown out the window.
Okay, so Boeing's internal failures are pretty clear. But here's the thing. There was another system in place, a safety net, that was supposed to be the final line of defense. And it failed too.
You see, for years, the FAA, that's the Federal Aviation Administration, had been delegating more and more of its safety certification work to Boeing itself. It's a system called regulatory self-policing. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like, the fox guarding the henhouse. In a company culture that was already obsessed with cutting costs and moving fast, taking away that tough independent oversight, well, it turned out to be a fatal mistake.
So when you put it all together, you can see this clear chain of events. First, the corporate culture changes to chase profits. That creates this huge pressure to cut corners. That pressure leads directly to bad designs and not being honest about new systems. And the result? It's inevitable. Tragedy strikes, and it's followed by this whole cascade of quality problems we're still seeing today. It's just a direct, devastating domino effect.
And that leaves us with this big, looming question. Can a culture of safety, once it's lost, ever really be rebuilt? I mean, this isn't just about fixing an assembly line or tweaking some software. This is about rebuilding an entire culture, one that used to be the gold standard for the entire world. What happens with Boeing from here on out? It's going to be a huge test case, really. A story about whether a giant corporation can ever truly find its soul again after putting profits ahead of people.